Hello and welcome to another episode of Feminine Scope. I am Amanda Ezekwe. Feminine Scope addresses issues concerning women, their triumphs and challenges in the society. We know in recent times people have been feeling resentment towards the government and the country. Growing up as a little girl in Nigeria, I heard about the patriotism and zeal of our leaders. They fought fervently for the colonization of Nigeria, and it seems that the founding fathers and leaders of the independent Nigeria had patriotism in their DNA. Though they may have bickered or even fought each other, they had something stronger in common: faith in the Nigerian project. These leaders sought for and defended the common good, and it was the basis for trust in governance and leadership. History has shown us courageous acts of these leaders, leaving us proud inheritors of their hard work and sacrifice. Do we still have patriotic Nigerians? Do Nigerians still believe in patriotism? To have this discussion with me is my guest, Bisayo Busari-Akinnadeju, a lawyer and a social advocate. Please join us after the break. Welcome back. If you ask any Nigerian, especially the younger generation between the age 18 and 35 years, how they truly feel to be a Nigerian, they will tell you without hesitation that they long suspected their nationality and even regret being a Nigerian. That their everyday life in the country would be happier if they were born an American, British, or any of the choice European countries' citizen. Should anyone blame them? Our guest, Bisayo Busari-Akinnadeju, a lawyer and a social advocate for good governance and political education, the executive founder of the Nigerian Citizenship Appreciation Initiative, known as Project One, and the convener of the annual I Am a Nigerian conference, a platform that promotes leadership, peacekeeping, and nation-building activities, is here to give us an in-depth insight on this issue and many more in relation to the topic of discourse. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Why patriotism? Why are you so much into this project? I'm a Nigerian. Most people don't even want to recognize themselves as Nigerians.
Thank you, Amanda, for this. And I would like to say that there's no point 18 on yourself. So when we talk about patriotism, when you talk about having Nigerian, you're talking about the power of identity. And I like where you started from when you said quite a number of people on the streets today would say they're not proud to be from Nigeria and they would rather be from any other nation. Unfortunately, nobody has the opportunity of choosing his or her place of birth or nationality of birth. So either you like it or not, I like to tell Nigerians that you're already a Nigerian. You can go ahead, get a second-class citizen somewhere else, have another passport, then you become a second-class citizen. But if you're from a nation, and you happen to be from a nation that is this blessed, and all it needs is just you bringing the potential to the actual, then all you need to do is find your place in that nation and make it work. Just the same way we talk about America today, they started from somewhere, and some people have worked to bring it to where it is. It just means you have the opportunity of putting your name in the sand of time and making history. So really, I believe in this nation. I believe in Nigeria, and I've had a whole lot of Nigerians, not with the jollof, not with the fun, not with the beauty that surrounds this nation. So if you really look at Nigeria, really, and Nigerians, at the depth of our heart, Nigerians love Nigeria. They probably are not okay with the way things are being run. And what we need to do, which is what my organization is all about, is to give that political education, the orientation, so people really understand what it means to be a citizen of a particular country and how you can actually grow your nation to become what it is. Recently, I had this discussion with someone about Israel and how that small number of people with not the best form of climatic conditions and all that had emerged and had grown stronger and stronger. And you know, one of the founding fathers wrote in one of their books where it says that Israel is a startup nation where they realize that this is what we have. What do we do with what we have? And that's one of the lectures we're trying to put out in the Nigerian minds. This is what we have. A very blessed nation. You can't even compare it to all these other nations we're talking about in terms of natural resources, in terms of mineral resources, and in terms of human capital. We have it all together.
Yeah.
Now, all we need to do is know how to make it work. And we will be so at the end of the day, every Nigerian, I always make this joke that we talk about Arab money in Nigeria. A time is coming when we'll be talking about Niger money. Just what is missing is that vision and the ability to translate what we have to what we would love to have. So I'm proud to be in Nigeria. I'm actually happy and excited to be in Nigeria because I've seen it. I've not just seen it, I've dealt with Nigerians. Nigerians are awesome. They are brilliant. They are everything any nation should be proud to have. If I have these people and I have this land, then nothing is missing. All we need to do is to tie it up. And that's what we're doing, letting Nigerians appreciate where they're from first, because it starts from you. You need to know this is who I am. And that's why the campaign is I am a Nigerian. The first you need to identify with yourself. Know this is who you are. Know this is where you're from. And then the next thing is just to take it up from there. Nobody has the right to be poor in Nigeria with all that we have.
What prompted the birthing of Project One?
Thank you for that question. I would say that, you also mentioned something like that. Growing up in Nigeria as a young child, I have the opportunity, and I call it an opportunity, to be born and bred in Nigeria during the military era when a whole lot of people were clamoring for changes. And our parents at that time believed that Nigeria would be a better place if we just have civilian in government and things will not be this hard. Now, I've gone through the transition. I've seen the military in power. I've seen the civilian in power. And I still see the gap there. And I realized that really the problem with Nigeria is not just on leadership. It's not just a few Nigerians that have emerged as the president of the nation. I realized that what is important in this nation is every single citizen. And now it starts from you identifying who you are. And then it starts from every other person identifying the right of the other person. I would say respect is very, very important in a nation, for a nation to grow and a nation to develop. So when I started Project One, the whole idea for me is to let Nigerians, first of all, realize that there is something to be ashamed of if you're from this country. I have a lot of people tell me then, and I'll say, just to give a bit of that background history of it, I had tried to explain to people, talk about governance, talk about leadership, how people need to be more involved in what happens in their country, because that, at the end of the day, is what determines your success or your failure as a citizen of Nigeria. We would admit that there are Nigerians that are doing excellently well, and they would not want to change their nationality. I'm not sure Dangote is looking at changing his nationality, because when that prosperity is there, when peace is there, when security is there, then you have almost everything you need for a lifetime. And so I was watching, how do people make it, and how have they made it in their own time? How do I let other Nigerians see this opportunity? But what prompted Project One actually was when I was going to have my first international travel. I always felt as an adult. And I realized that a lot of people had talked about it, that if you're holding the green passport, it's like a disadvantage. That if you get to the airport and the immigration officer is screening everybody for 2 minutes, once they see a Nigerian, they will remove your shoe, remove everything and all that. And I told myself, I'm going to have a first international travel. And of course, all I have is my green passport. I told myself, I'm not going to let anybody pull me down because I'm from this great nation. This what our parents or our forefathers called the giant of Africa. And what my generation wonder, is it really the giant of Africa? The questions that come because things have changed or things are changing. So I told myself, I'm not just going to wait for this man to see my passport before he judge me. I'm going to put this muffler, and that's how it became a part of my uniform when I'm leaving the shores of this country. I said, I'm going to put this green, white, green with Nigeria written on it on my shoulder. So that right on the queue, you can tell that a Nigerian is coming. Make up your mind, how you want to receive me. But you know, the reception was quite, and I always refer to it, it was very different from all that I've heard on the street of Nigeria. Everything I've heard while I was here. Right on that queue, I had a lot of people who come to meet me, or who came at that time and said, oh, I like your muffler, you're Nigerian. Oh, I have a Nigerian. That's people from other nations. I have a Nigerian in my office, very hardworking. The feedback I was getting by wearing the muffler was very different from what I thought I heard. And when I got to the immigration office, I said, oh, nice muffler. I was like, oh, fantastic, nice. I handed my green passport. I told him I was in the country for a short course and a holiday, and it was smooth. From that time, I started engaging Uber drivers when I'm not in Nigeria, Nigerians and non-Nigerians. I started visiting Nigerian businesses outside the shores of Nigeria to get the perspective of, do you really know where you're from? Do you understand this nation? And when I came back to Nigeria, I wanted every Nigerian to know this, that you need to be proud of yourself. The confidence starts with you.
Yes.
If you've lost your confidence already, then you do not blame an outside person for looking down on you. If you go on the social media today and you say, oh, I'm from the poorest country in the world, then do not judge. So, in summary for me, what I would say is your confidence level has to be improved. And that's why Project One is all about. If you check a book that I wrote, it's the very first chapter is the power of identity. So if you're proud of yourself, if you're confident in yourself, if you're able to raise your head up, and then you change the narrative, anywhere you walk to, you let them know. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million people, and if you've heard about 20 Nigerians that have done something wrong, then I can show you at least 200,000 Nigerians that are hardworking, that are honest, that have integrity, that have passion, and that you should be proud of more than the 10 that you've had. So we need to put out that positive vibes out there. We need to be confident. We need to walk with our shoulder high and say, oh, I'm from the land that has this number of reserves of oil in the world. I'm from this land that has this total number of people. I'm from the land of a doctor that was able to carry out surgery on the baby right on the womb successfully. You can talk about the many success stories in Nigeria that you can be proud of as a Nigerian. So basically what we do at Project One and what inspired it is to let Nigerians wake up to the reality and to the beauty of their nation and their nationality. Leave it out and let the world also tell the story for you. The whole world is all about narratives and what we're putting out there.
Back to, okay, I grew up in the era of civilian, military, civilian. Now, I know that I saw the groundnut pyramids, I saw the textile in Kaduna and Lagos. In fact, in Lagos then, we had industrial layouts where it was strictly for manufacturing businesses. We saw, what's it called? We saw the international companies who came to establish here, but because of the challenges we've been facing in Nigeria, most of them have left. Do you think we can still go back to that era?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we can even do it faster than ever before. We still have everything right here. We still have the resources, we still have the textiles, we still have the cotton, we still have the ceramic, we still have everything. We still have cocoa, we still have cassava. There is absolutely nothing that has left the shores of the nation. Maybe some of our Nigerians that have gone outside the country to also make good names for us. What I believe is what they had, and that's what we're talking about, patriotism. What people had when they fought for independence of Nigeria was a set of people who believed that this nation could work, who came together and say, oh, we can make this nation work. They had that mind. There was a Nigerian project. We wanted to make it work. Everyone was working. If you go to the southeast, you'll see the Igbo man working to make sure things work. We were not so much about the tribalism and the differences. Everybody wanted to get something and to make something work in this nation. Now we have people who are disheartened by a whole lot of happenings around. And sometimes, in as much as these are reality, I said we still have people who are also making progress. All we need are people who understand what they need to do. We still have the music and art sector still doing so well, and you see a lot of young people tending towards that because they see the success story there. Of course, in this day and age, we have a lot of people now turning towards agriculture to realize that this is the next oil for the world, because either you like it or not, I tell everybody on a daily basis, everybody eats. Just the same way the whole world seems to be reliant on fossil fuel today. There is no time that people will be tired of eating. Human beings would always eat. And we have the land in Nigeria. Once we start seeing the potential that we have allowed to lay fallow, and then to stop that reliance, and I'll just make a point on this, because most of us over the years have also started glorifying the Western world and the things happening out there. We have neglected the things here. That's why you're not promoting the fabrics from Nigeria as much as you should. Everybody wants to wear Gucci, everybody wants to wear Prada, everybody, because that tells you about your status. But we saw in about 2 years ago when a product came out and it looks like one of those designs we have in Nigeria that people look down on. And people were buying it for over £1,000 online. A pattern that we see with market women in Nigeria, and you're wondering, okay, you look down on this, but somebody out there, because he has the name and a brand, has put it out there, and people are willing to pay a price for it. And I must actually note that as of today, we have Nigerians doing great, especially in the digital marketing world, where they are pushing out their products. You see why people now want to wear Ankara for their children in school, and that's because we have some Nigerians wearing it out there. What we need are people who are proud of what they have and are able to showcase it. You'll be surprised at how the world, everybody, you know, they're trying to do their DNA and claiming, oh, we have African descent. And then you're wondering, even you're not even proud to be African, but you should be. The melanin in your skin is something some people are looking for. The sun that you have is what some people are looking for. So what has happened over the years is we've lost that pride, we've lost that confidence, like I said, and people really have lost their identity of who they are. So if you know who you are and you know what you have, the second chapter of my book, like I mentioned, talks about power of location. The first is the power of identity, the next is the power of location, because if you can merge the two, okay, this is who I am. I'm a citizen of this country. The I'm a Nigerian is not just a campaign of identity, it's also a campaign of right. It's also a campaign of duty. It's also a campaign of responsibility. So you realize as a Nigerian, what can I do to make the name of this nation great? An American is not coming to build Nigeria for us. Nigeria will be built by Nigerians, and every single person. And I must say this, I know I'm a woman, and I also put a whole lot of responsibility. We women already have enough responsibility, but I'll put more responsibility on women, because every nation needs a mother. From that tender age, as you're grooming your child, you need to put that confidence in that child. You're a Nigerian child, you're an African child. So they grow up being proud, and when a white man walks into their classroom, they don't feel, oh, a white man is here. You grow it, you demand it, and then I believe that with time, a whole lot of things start falling into places. All these industries that we have that are lying low, with the correct leadership and vision in place, with people who understand that you can't let anything go to waste in this nation, things will start falling into place. Nigerians will realize, oh, okay, we can actually turn, and I always give an example of shea butter. We have shea butter in large quantity in Nigeria. We have Ori, Colori, and people come from outside Nigeria, L'Oreal, Clinique. They come into Nigeria, take this product, take it outside Nigeria, put it in a different bottle, package it, and send it down to Nigeria, and we'll buy it in a lot of thousands of naira. But I'm going to buy Nigerian Ori now and shea butter, because probably packaged in a bowl, very local, we are buying for 100 naira or 50 naira. But when I'm buying that other imported product, because of the way it looks refined, I'm paying 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and sometimes even 10,000 naira for those imported creams, when we have it right here. All we need is, I will say, orientation, proper orientation, development, using technology, and when we travel out to learn, what are they doing different here? Or what have they done? I wrote a short book at the time, and I wrote about a Nigerian as a first world country. And I said, do Nigerians, have we sat down to tell ourselves we want to move from being a third world country to a first? If you don't have the vision of where we should be, then we can stay moving around in a circle, which has been a bit of the story we've had in Nigerians. Everybody has been fighting. I'm fighting you because you're a northerner. I'm fighting you because you're in PDP, you're in APC. Everything has been more of rivalry, and that's why security is very porous. And when there's no peace, when there's no focused agenda towards achieving a goal as a nation, you have all these things that we have. We will not have growth, we will not have development, we will not have prosperity, you will not have peace. And at the end of the day, life becomes short and brutish like in the olden days. But if you can see a better Nigeria, and I talk about the power of imagination, if you can look forward and imagine, oh, Nigeria can actually be a first world country, how do we get there? If there are problems in Nigeria, I say to Nigerians, it's an opportunity for you to solve a problem. It's an opportunity for you to earn an income. It's an opportunity for you to not be poor. So we can't claim that we're poor if we have 220 million people to buy from us. we do not need to wait for government. And that's why I said initially when I said leadership over the years was the focus for someone like me as a child. All we heard is, oh, we need the government to hand over to another set of government. But then we've seen one government handing over to another government handing over, and then you say, oh, dollar was 20 to 1 naira, and then now it's 87 to 1 naira. Oh, it's 197, and now it's almost 600. So things are moving in that progression, and of course they will continue to move in that progression until we sit down as citizens of this nation to say, where are we and why are we where we are today? Where do we also need to go? Once we have a vision of where we want to be and everyone is working towards that goal and agenda, understanding that if the nation is at peace, you will also be at peace. If the nation is at war, then there can be no peace. I have to mention, it's about the current thing happening. People in Ukraine right now are not thinking about how to package their agricultural products, because in the war situation is about survival. And you really don't want to have war. When we clamor for it, when we ask for things to go bad, we're really not looking at how we can progress. No city progress, no business progress when things are down. So we need to sit down, share away the differences, forget about the differences and say, how can I bring the Igbo's man economic prowess to a Yoruba man's academic intelligence, or to a Northern's man peace coming and solidarity? How do we bring all this together and really ensure that not that Nigeria is only the giant of Africa, but the giant of the whole world? I would say the world right now is looking for leadership. The whole world is looking for leadership in the right place. Good leadership. And when I see it more in Africans. I see it more in people from this region, people who understand humanity, people who understand compassion. And if we can start in-house, but if you've not built your home, how do you want to build the world? So I say to Nigerians, we have a whole lot of responsibility on us, not just for this nation, but for the whole world at large. We need to set the pace that the world needs to follow, and it starts with us.
You mentioned women when you were talking. Women are always called upon when things like this are about to happen. When they want to campaign, they call the women. But when it comes to giving positions of leadership, women are relegated. Why?
It's a global, I call it global phenomenon.
How can this be changed?
It has to be, really. It's something that over the years that happened. Of course, women have played very, very important role in the way the world has been shaped over the time. Nigeria, for example, there is no political party that does not have a national woman leader, because they understand the role that women play. In fact, the 2015 statistics show that we have more women registered voters as women, and we have more housewives. In terms of giving power to women, I would say, and I like to start from a very general point of view. First, power mostly is not given out. Power is taken. And my generation would say, they promised us that we're the future leaders, and here we are, we're not yet the future leaders.
That's the thing.
We need to push. So women need to push, and I'm not saying we're not pushing enough, because of what we've seen happening all over the world. And it's not in Nigeria, it's not peculiar to Nigeria. That's why we've seen nations who decided there are different ways by which women could be more involved when it comes to political power or leadership in every nation.
How?
Because there's a legislative base whereby you have to have, and this is to help, because there are traditional biases against women.
Culturally.
There are dozens that feel the woman should be relegated to the kitchen, a woman should be the one taking care of the children while the man is out there. We have more patriotic society than anywhere else all around the world, and especially in Africa. Now, if anything will change about that, and they also realize, and I'd say the men know, that women are powerful. I like the military, the way they do their hierarchy. Your wife is always a rank higher than you, because they understand that a woman is powerful. I always make a joke of it that a president can change his mind overnight just by the power of his influencing wife or woman.
Sure.
It's women had always been very powerful in history, and I know men do not take it for granted. In fact, at some point I was almost coming up with a theory that that's one of the major reasons you rather keep them at the background, because you know that when a woman actually starts coming up, they go for it, and they don't make, and which is what every nation needs. Every nation, I keep saying it, needs a mother, and a mother is not somebody who gives back to you, but a woman, anybody,
you.
because it nurtures, because he knows he knows where he hurts, he knows what the people want, and it's compassionate, it's dealing with sensitivity and sensibility. That's how a woman is, not this. So, but for women, or for nations, or for Nigeria, there is no way to help all the biases that exist. Religious is also there, religious biases and a whole lot of things that had happened. I think the best way Nigeria could go, which is what's been happening in recent times, is to actually have that 35%, make it a legislative agenda, so that it could also happen on a political party level, which we haven't really seen, where parties make it compulsory that for every contest, every position that we're going to contest, we're going to field this number of women. It could happen at a party level, so the strong parties know every woman, every candidate you're pushing out, you have a percentage of women representing your political party. But beyond that voluntary political quota system, that legislative, for me, in a country like this, is more likely to yield the positive changes we want in our society. And of course, in most cases, it's usually a temporary measure. A time is coming, because I have a lot of campaign, you want to have by force 35 women. Mm-hmm. What happens eventually when you start having 60, 70 women? Of course, it will balance out. This is to encourage more women participation, because it's not enough for you to know that I'm going for this post, but women will not be voted for. But when men and women political parties know that this position, either we like it or not, has to be filled by women, then they will have no choice but to field women. But if they know that anybody can be there, then they will probably want to still field the man and have their reasons for disqualifying the women.
Recently, the International Women's Day was celebrated, and of course, break the bias. With this patriotism level in Nigeria, do you think, or do you believe in the theory that says that women are their worst enemies?
I actually do not believe that. Probably because I've had the privilege of being surrounded by quite a number of good women, supportive women, and I'm also a woman, and I'm not. I always make a joke of it too, that as it wasn't so intentional. I once held the role of an acting president in my faculty in Obafemi Awolowo University, then in the Faculty of Law. And of course, when I was handing over, I was able to have a transition, well chosen, elected, to another woman with all the support I could give. So I've seen women supporting women to succeed in their different endeavors. You could say women at their worst critique. And I'll just give you an example where it seems so. For example, in a work setting, when you probably meet your male boss to take an so I would like to take care of my child, he has to be vaccinated. And then you say, you can go because, vaccine, she could go take the vaccine. But a female boss would probably say, how many minutes? Vaccine is taken in the morning, so you should be back by 12. And then you're wondering, why is she like this? But in her mind, she had calculated it's something she could do within a few hours, and then she pushed that on you, more than how a man would understand. So over the years, this had shown in the way a woman probably relates to another woman. You're thinking, it's not a big deal because you're a woman, and then the men seems to quite of understand. But the truth is, all of us as women, we need to start seeing ourselves as that powerful. The same way we tell the young Nigerians that if the young persons in Nigeria with the largest number come together, there's a lot we can do. If women realize that there is a lot that we can do together, then the sky is just the beginning of what we can achieve. So yeah, I encourage more women to support women, not blindly, but at least give that support. Don't unnecessarily put your strength on another person. You don't know what you can do. And I think that's where, over the years, a lot of those statements that come in that women are their own worst enemies, because you don't give the excuses a male counterpart will probably give to another woman. If I say I'm having some, then you want to say, so what's the big deal? It all happens to us, which is not the right approach to things. Every individual must be treated on the basis of their own strength and their own weaknesses. Either you're a man or you're a woman.
We've been talking patriotism. We'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Project One. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Feminine Scope, and we have been discussing patriotism in Nigeria. We still have our guest, Bisayo Busari-Akinnadeju, a lawyer and a social advocate for good governance, political education, and citizenship appreciation projects. We're back, man. Project One. What is Project One all about?
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Project One is an organization that is set up to instill the right leadership values in Nigeria and improve on citizenship appreciation as a concept in this nation and political education for Nigerians. We believe in starting from the cradle, and it's all about letting Nigerians come to the realization of who they are, where they're from, and how to move to the next level. So at Project One, we have 3 core values. It's patriotism, integrity, and self-reliance. These are part of the Nigerian national values enshrined in our constitution. But we believe these three major things are very key to the development of any nation and any citizen at all.
You mentioned from the cradle.
Yes.
Why?
Okay, that's because
do kids really understand what you're talking about?
Thank you for that. And I would say this, I would give it as an example of an experience I had over the time. When we say from the cradle, what we do at Project One is we go as far as the wardroom where babies are delivered, especially in the rural area, and clothe babies in their Nigerian brand. So we have what we call the Welcome in Nigerian Baby package, where we gift it to the mothers, the babies' ounces, the cap, the mittens, the stockings, all are branded in Nigerian. Then the bag is like that lunch bag that some people can take to school and all that. And why do we do this? And then a Nigerian branded baby blanket. And why did Project One start this? There was a time when I observed that in a general hospital in a country like the United States of America, you would have babies born in the general hospital wrapped in a blanket that has the American color. In fact, if you go on the social media, one of the ways you will know this child was not born in Nigeria or was born in either the US is that color of blankets that has the American color. Now, it wasn't ordinary to me, and I don't gloss over anything, especially when I leave the shores of Nigeria. Why would a nation want to do that? There's a sense of identity you create right from that tender age. A child is born into Nigeria, and you're letting that child know you're welcome into this nation, we're happy to have you, we're celebrating your arrival. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, talking about patriotism. Yes, when we get older, you're giving back to a nation because you have that sense of belonging. You have that sense of this is mine. And we're not waiting until a child gets to 15, 18 or our own high time when you already feel disgruntled by a lot of things in Nigeria. We're putting that sense in every child, right from that wardroom to primary school levels, for them to understand the nation, for them to love the national symbols, for them to see the flag as a thing of pride. Because we believe patriotism is not something you foster on people by force at the end of the day. It's a sense of identity, it's a sense of acceptance that comes with it, that you want to make this thing that is yours a better place. And that's why we believe that if the nation will get it right, then you need to start from that cradle. Aristotle once said, give me a child for the first 7 years and I will show you what the man is. And that is very true. If you are not able to capture their minds to see the right thing right from that tender age, you struggle more in the later years, because you now have to teach your child, no, when you hear the national anthem, you're supposed to stop and respect it. And the child is wondering, why should I stop? What nation? What's Nigeria? And that's why I have the questions, what can this nation do for me? Nations that have embraced attitudes like this also got to a point when they realize that they need to do this right from the start. And that's one of the culture we're trying to bring into Nigeria, that every citizen count. What Project One is about, when we say one of it is every single citizen must count. If a leader of a nation knows that even that girl that I don't know his name, or that I don't know her name or her father or where she's from matters, then all decisions that every leader is taking in Nigeria will be geared towards making sure that everyone is catered for, from the most popular in Nigeria to the unknown name in Nigeria. Every Nigerian child counts, and that's what Project One is all about, by starting from that.
Now, this Project One being tied to patriotism, I could remember as a little girl the war against indiscipline, where Nigerians were respected because anywhere they go, you could see them imbibing what they have been taught in their country. Can this be replicated now?
Absolutely. And I always like using the word absolutely when it comes to that. Nothing has changed when it comes to Nigerians. I think Nigerians are even better than we were. What our parents were, a lot of people do not agree. There's a saying that says that.
I think I agree.
Was an elderly person who said to me, he said, our parents, their own parents, in their own time would say, children of these days. Then in their old time, they said to people like my father's, like, these children are different. In my father's time, they looked at my generation and said, these children are different. Now people in my set, we're already looking at the people in secondary school and say, what will the world be like when these ones grow old? Those ones, when they get to another stage, you look at the generation after them and said, the world has changed. The world would always change. The only thing is, how are we harnessing the changes positively? Nigerian children are becoming more enlightened from a very tender age. They know what we didn't know.
True.
Now, how are we harnessing these things in a positive way to develop them and then to develop the nation? So from my own perspective, or from our own perspective at Project One, every child in Nigeria should know. And then I would say this, we all agree, I'm sure, and every Nigerian knows that when a Nigerian leaves the shores of this nation, they become very, very orderly. Very orderly. So there's a default setting in us that knows what is right. But because enforcement, and that's why I talk about the society in itself, what's the enforcement principles that we have here? What's the orientation that we have here? You know it's not right to throw dirt on the floor. You don't want anybody coming into your living room and then just throwing dirt all around your living room, because you definitely look at it at what is this? But when we go out there, because you don't see that nation as yours, because that patriotism is not really there. I feel, I'm just driving on the road and I throw anything out of my window. It's on the street, it's none of my business. But you don't want it done to you. If you start seeing Nigeria, the whole of this country, as yours, as your home, if that level of patriotism gets to you, then you realize, okay, I have to do the right thing. Not because it's anybody's own, but because it is mine. If any nation comes here, and you know, when we watch TVs and they're showing us movies, they'll show us the most beautiful places all over the country, in their own country. They don't show us the dirty places. But when they want to show Africa, they will show you the slums, they will show you the refuse dumps and say a whole lot of other things. But we can actually change this narrative if we love this nation enough to bring back that discipline. It's right in us. Like I said, it's endemic. That's why you go outside Nigeria and you stay on the queue. You don't want anybody to harass you and all that. But you know, if I do it in Nigeria, I probably could get away with it. And if I don't, if I'm even caught and I have some level of connection, I just need to place a call to one of my uncles and then I'll be let go. But if you know that rules in this country are respected and valued, and if you know, I have a small girl, and then I sometimes like the fact that once we are approaching the red light, they were taught in their schools, education is very important. They're taught in their school the green, what green means, what red means. And once you're approaching the right, to say, Daddy, slow down, it's red, it's red. Even as a parent, you just want to abide. So sometimes when we go to the cradle, like I said, from the primary schools, we know that sometimes some of these our children could even help us also adjust. Because we've grown to an environment where almost you can get away with one or two things in Nigeria, and then that seems to be our default settings. But we don't want these children to go up with this wrong mindset. With time, we believe that there's going to be a balance. Those of us that are older, we also come to the realization that we need to shift. And if we're able to catch these ones young enough with the right mindset, they know they're not supposed to dirty the ground. They know that their health indeed is wealth. Because when we do some of these things, I always say there's an adage that says when you point a finger at someone, the fall is pointing back at you. When you dirty your environment, when you don't obey your nation rules and regulation, at the end of the day, it comes back to fight you. What you think you've gotten away with today, another person will get away with it, and it will be. They say where your right stop is where another person's own starts. So when you think yours as you have this right, another person will exercise it on you at another time. So we need to start seeing that sense of societal responsibility, that it's not just about, oh, I'm patriotic, it's also to your own advantage. So when you do this thing right, it comes out, there won't be a pandemic in quotes, or endemic, or breakout of cholera and the whole lot of things. Because, and when a nation is healthy, it also helps. I'm very big, and that's why I thought third core value is self-reliance. I'm very, very particular about empowerment. I'm very particular about what people have in their pockets as a source of living, because it's not just enough to say an hungry man is an angry man.
Yeah.
An hungry man is a sad man. It's not going to work. It's also difficult to tell someone who has not eaten to be patriotic. Person is thinking about, how do I feed? How do I pay my children's school fees? And I say, stand on the line. Person wants to stand on the line. I'm crying about how to eat. So I'm very, 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 very particular about the financial development of a nation, financial education of a nation. But as I mentioned earlier, health is also another indices when it comes to growing wealth. If your country is not healthy, if the people are not healthy, it will affect your level of relevance, you affect the level of development. If you're sick and you are always with malaria because there are always stagnated water around you, and you have a lot of mosquitoes that are disturbing your health, you can't perform well as much as you would do when your health is sound. So all these things have effect. When those gutters are clogged and are blocked, and that's one of the things we're doing this year at the annual Nigerian conference, which we do an annual conference. This year conference is about cleaning up the environment. We're not just cleaning, we're also going to be giving a whole lot of orientation to Nigerians on the need for us to maintain a very clean environment. It helps, and
it really
helps.
I went to Calabar and I couldn't find a single dirt on the floor.
That's awesome.
I was very impressed. But it's a lot of hard work.
It is.
And you can never get anybody or see anyone throw things around. There were bins everywhere. Can it ever happen?
Yes, it can.
Nationwide.
Let me give you an example of one of my bosses that was going to Singapore. And he knows there's a rule that says if you throw anything, if you're caught anything on the street, you're going to be jailed for 7 days. And he said before he got off the plane, he decided to check his pocket so that by any mistake, nothing would drop from his pocket on him. He can't afford to spend 7 days kept in one custody just because he threw a paper on the ground. Now, if we have rules and if we're each other's police, you do what is wrong and I tell you, no, you're not supposed to do that. No, you cannot urinate on that part of the road. And if there are things in places, public toilets and places where people can also use, not that, there's no places for us to use. There are a whole lot of measures. A nation can achieve it. I mentioned earlier, what we need to do in Nigeria is have that imagination of the Nigeria that we want. The Nigeria, how we want Nigeria to be. All that now needs to be done. How do we get there? Are there laws that needs to be put in place? Are there lectures? Are there things we need to put back in our school curriculum that are no longer there? Are there things that back then they would teach you? Washing of hands didn't just start with COVID-19.
No,
we know we're supposed to wash our hands and keep clean and a whole lot of other things. Now you need to bring back these things because it's just the best that could happen to us. And it's not just health. I want to give an example of what people pay for premium places. The reason why you want to probably go to a place is because it's very neat. And you're willing to pay higher money than go to one mama put that looks dirty.
Yes.
All you need to do is have that clean environment. It will also improve your business. People want to come to your area because, that place always neat.
Always neat.
And it goes around. Referrers. So Nigerians, apart from, I'm just talking about neatness as one of the aspects of the war against indiscipline at those times. But I heard the stories of this when, during the 1983 people, that they will come and check your water pot to be sure that it's clean and all that.
Your compound,
everything.
They had health officers that were going around to check all those things. And if you're caught, you're punished.
You're punished for it. So I think there's that enforcement level. The legal system has to work hand in hand with the society. We need to go back to the communal levels as well, ways of enforcing that and ensuring that people understand why we're also doing this. Understand, as easy as usual of using your seatbelt. An average Nigerian driver feels it's inconvenient to put your seatbelt on, but then you're saving your life. But if you do not really understand why you have to do it, and you think the reason why you're doing it is to avoid paying 20 naira or 15 naira to a road safety officer, or to avoid being delayed on the road because you're not putting on your seatbelt, you only put it on for the time that you can see them in a distance. But if you understand the reason, and that's why orientation is very important. From the tender age, you let the children understand, and they have the capacity, like I said, it's better in their own time. Since their brain is bigger now and wider and can take in more things, then let's give them all the information they need to live a better life. And Nigerian children, for me, They are marvelous. They are people we need to invest in. Because the child of today is indeed the leader of tomorrow, and the youth of tomorrow, and eventually the parent of tomorrow. And of course, it will pass it down to generation. And no country comes cooked. I love to use the example cooked, because every nation goes through the different stages. The state that we're in now, we're back to a point where a lot of things seems to have gone bad. So all we need to do, and somebody granted an interview recently and said what we have so far in Nigeria is a country and not a nation. I'm so much into nation building. I know this is the time for us all to get our hands almost dirty, putting the brick and the sand together to make sure we have to lay a foundation for the future that is coming. It's not, I'm not looking too much to blame the older generation. I'm looking at my generation, because youth is strength. This is the time of our own. This is the time we need to do something so that these children coming up can meet a better nation, and then those ones coming after can meet a better nation. I think the elders have done enough. They are, I see them, I think we should have a council of elders in Nigeria, and what their role should be advisory, because we need guidance. Even as young persons, as much as we're clamoring for power, we want this and all that. What we say to you young persons, the I'm a Nigerian project cut across the elderly, the young persons, and the children, because it's all encompassing. We're all in the same society. Sure. But I believe the elders should take the role of advisory now. They saw some of these things we're talking about. Some of our children don't know why against indiscipline is. They don't know what that is. They need to pass it down. That culture we used to have in the past, we need to pass it down. You need to tell them, do you know there's a time in this country where this is? Do you know your generation can make it better? It doesn't have to get worse, you could make it better. We need to have that narrative. So they need to start seeing themselves, not necessarily in control, but advising, creating the pathway for these people that now have the strength, because that's the time of life. The people that have the strength, the vitality, the vigor are the young persons now. But without guidance, they could miss it, because that excitement is still also in our system with our strength. So guide us, let us walk through this, and let us also lay the pathway for the children coming forward. The annual conference I said we hold this year is going to be about the Nigerian flag all over again. We've done that in the past, but we're bringing it back up, because patriotism and nation building has to go hand in hand. We need to build Nigeria. We don't have any other home. With everything happening all over the world, in Europe at the moment, is a pointer to us, for us to know. But at the end of the day, if anything goes wrong in those nations you're trying to run to, where you will run back to is what we call, I want to go back home. Home, we need to come back home. Where is that home? If that home is not made, you're coming back to a place where you're not to nothing. So we need to do it now, for ourselves, for our children. I always say my children, they might have the opportunity, or any younger in Nigeria, opportunity of holding a second passport, because yes, the word allows for it, our constitution also allows for it. You want to hold a dual citizenship, but you must always know that where you're a first-class citizen is this nation where you're first from. Sure. And if you don't build it, when you go out there, they will ask you where you're originally from, because you're black.
They'll always ask. Because
you will still stand out. When they were evacuating people from Ukraine at that point, there were a lot of shouts that people from Africa, not just Nigeria, were being discriminated against because of their color. Even though you're carrying a passport that shows you're now an European person, but then because of your color, you're still pushed down the line. Yes. So you know, at the end of the day, you have no choice. Come back home. Let's do all we can. Stay over there. I tell people, go outside the world, go outside the country, go outside the nation, make all the money, but remember to invest. Remember to build home. Remember to do something back home. It's not a cake. It is right, because at the end of the day, you realize home is always the base.
Let's talk about the Citizenship Awards. What's it all about?
Yeah, citizenship appreciation for me is part of the things that encourage patriotism. If I see that you're doing something right and I turn my eye to it, I might not encourage you to repeat it the next time, or any other person was also not encouraged to do it in another time. And if you look at Nigeria as a nation, that's part of the problems I believe over the times we've seen. We don't really celebrate people who are hardworking. We don't celebrate people who are doing so much to make ends meet. You know, sometimes someone said most of the time you probably want to celebrate a leader who is doing this and who is doing that. What about that market woman there that is waking up early in the morning to put her wares out there and then sponsor children? And you can claim at least about 4 graduates that this woman that had no education had been able to pull through school. But nobody sees it. Nobody is appreciating that effort. It's not a very good culture. We need to come to a place in Nigeria that when you see someone doing the right thing, when you see someone on the road stopping by the traffic light and all that, you're saying, oh, good, with a thumbs up to let the person know you're doing a good thing and all that. It encourages good practice, and that's one of the things we want to do. For Project One, we believe that the best place to start as a nation when it comes to digital appreciation is to look at those who contributed to the symbols of this country.
Okay, have you done any so far?
Yes, we have done that.
Okay.
And the reason why I mentioned this is, I won't talk about people on the street to appreciate themselves. I won't talk about appreciating someone who finished with the first class and appreciate the good behavior rather than put the microphone to the bad behaviors. And then I looked at Nigeria as a nation, and I looked at the person who designed the Nigerian national flag, and I did a bit of research about him some years back. And prior to the time of when Goodluck Jonathan became president, this man still lived in a very small apartment in Ibadan, and you can't really see the wealth of someone. You know, if you go to some advanced nations, you design the flag of a nation and you're not
royalty,
like you have nothing to show for it. And it got to me, and I said, okay, what we're going to do at Project One, bring the, which is Patriotic, bring him to Abuja, give him a presidential treatment in our own little way, bring people to meet him, and then we placed him on a 12-month stipend. It was fantastic. Baba was very happy when he came, and I remember one of the things he said, you have added years to my days. Wow. Because when he came, the students were happy to meet him. Oh, this is the person that designed the Nigerian national flag. They were taking pictures with him. For 12 months, we were paying him stipends from us just to show him appreciation as someone who has done that. Now this year, we're taking it a step further. Beyond that, and I will still go back to what we're doing this year, but let me mention what we did again the year after. So when we looked at the national flag, we went down to, let's say we're looking at the national symbols, people who have contributed to the nation of the past. And we look at the national anthem that we sing. So this national anthem, who wrote it? Because all we know is the composer, that's Pa Benedict Odiase, very great man. And of course, we all know the person who composed, but where were the lines from? There are poets in Nigeria today who is really appreciating their work and all that. And then we found out there were 5 people who submitted the lines of the Nigerian national anthem. 5. And when we reached out to them, it was so a bit, I want to say, emotional and sad, that the feedback we got that since they wrote the national anthem lines and their entries were picked, it was a competition, and the entries were picked and merged together to form the national anthem, they've not received any national honor. They've not, in fact, only one of them got paid the price of winning that competition. Unfortunately, one of them that had most of the major lines in the national anthem died this year. Whoa. But luckily for us, I would say luckily for us as a nation and as Project One, we were able to honor them in the 2018 annual conference. Of course, unlike, and I'm not really comparing, unlike someone like Patriotism that is in Nigeria and still needs a bit of our support, which is what we're doing again this year. In that time, most of these writers were deans of faculties and abroad. And I remember one of the letters one of them wrote to us, in fact, in particular, Oguna Ike, the one who died this year, he said, I have hope in Nigeria until 1988 when I had to leave. And I felt, oh, people have started losing hope in Nigeria in 1988. And if you could trace it back, for someone who submitted lines for the national anthem and he felt this nation didn't appreciate my contribution, how did he feel when he was leaving? Those are the things that made him leave. Those are the things that made him feel, oh, this nation is not really appreciating its own. And we were able to honor them. We couldn't give them the money because they're doing so well in other nations. So what we did was we did a scholarship for a Nigerian student who wrote an ode to the national anthem writers. So we had a competition, which we do every year, annual essay competition, where you write about maybe Nigeria. We've done even with the Nigerian president essay competition in the past. So this particular year, we did an ode to the Nigerian writer. And the winner of that competition, we placed her on a scholarship throughout secondary school. To the glory of God, she's not a graduate of secondary school, of university. She's now done of secondary school. She's from Imesoma. And in appreciation and in fairness to them as well, they did a video for us, which was put on YouTube by one of the writers. That's Dr. I think that's one of them. He's a doctor as well, who did a video on behalf of the other national anthem writers to appreciate Project One for honoring them for the first time since they wrote the national anthem writers. Wow. So in 2020, years after 2022, I've looked at where we are as a nation and where we want to be. And I realized that, yes, I've been talking about patriotism. We've made a whole lot of progress. We started the leadership clubs in different schools. I can see more Nigerians being patriotic now. I get into taxis like I do normally to engage with taxi drivers and ask them, what do you think about Nigeria? If Nigeria is better, would you want to leave? And then you always said, no, I like Nigeria, but I don't like what is happening.
I'm trying to imagine what they'll tell me when you say that.
Almost everybody say, no, it's not like Nigeria is bad, just that we don't. So people actually, at the depth of their heart, love this nation. They just don't like some things. Now, those things that we don't like are the things we need to start changing, because it's important. That's the pulse of the people. That's how they feel. Oh no, I'm now a graduate, I don't have work. How do we ensure that an average Nigerian child that goes through the educational system that we have, the 664 or the 6334 as we have it in our own time, when it's done, has some things to fall back on, and it's just, oh, when I'm done with school, my parents still have to support me. How do we address these issues? Those are the ways we need to start thinking in Nigeria. We realize one of the foundation of it all, if we ever want to have a nation,
yes,
a one nation, is to appreciate the good things and celebrate it. And if you appreciate the good things, people will get paid for it.
We sincerely appreciate you, ma'am, for taking out time to be with us today.
Thank you so much.
Our guest has been Bisayo Busari-Akinnadeju, a lawyer and a social advocate for good governance and political education, the executive founder of One Nigeria Citizenship Appreciation Initiative, Project One, and the convener of the annual I Am a Nigerian conference, a platform that promotes leadership, peacekeeping, and nation-building activities. In as much as we get discouraged with what we see around us in our country, Nigeria, this is our home. We have no other country that we can call our own. Let us emulate our forefathers who fought for the colonization of Nigeria. But first, it starts with you. How patriotic are you? Nigeria is for us all. Let's make it great again. That's our package for today on the program. Join us same time next week. Bye-bye.